Welcome in. This is your live chat for this week's AT&T Byron Nelson. Anything you want for the next hour, whatever you want to do. Ownership, questions and answer, one and done. You want to talk about the PGA Championship? I don't care. It's your time. It's not my time. It's your time. So go ahead, drop your questions in the chat right now. I will try to get through as many as possible. The way this usually works, I'm a little more long-winded at the beginning. Then I try to pick up the pace, and I've already answered a lot of the questions by the time I get to the middle, and then we wrap up, and I usually get through most of them. So that is my goal again for today. While you're here, hit the like button, costs you $0, helps me in a big way. And know that this live chat is brought to you by Jock Market. It is stock market DFS. It is completely different than any other fantasy option that's out there. It's a lot of fun. You can play it before and during the tournament each week. I think they're going to go gangbusters on the PGA Championship. It's growing every single week. We'll talk more about them in just a little bit, but know that there is another live chat tonight at 8:15 p.m. Eastern time right here on the Rick Run Good YouTube channel for the Jock Market Power Hour. Let's jump into questions. What else are we going to do? Let's jump into questions. Brian says, with short par fives and gettable par fours, soft conditions combined with zoysia grass, and I think he spelled zoysia correctly, maybe. Congratulations. Maybe congrats. To make up and downs pretty simple, should we really expect only bombers at the top, or could we see a mixed bag? There is never. So first of all, good question, Brian, and you left this 2 hours ago, so good on you for being early. There is never one thing, right? There is, even if a course is like we're going to see at Kiawah Island, the longest course in major championship history next week, there's probably going to be short hitters near the top when things are said and done. Now, how they get there is much more narrow. So when I say things like, who do I think is going to find success? I think those are the widest paths to success. If this is a 8,000 yard course and you hit it, you're 200th on tour in driving distance, you better do everything else right. You better hit your long irons well. You better putt well. You better be able to get up and down for par. That's just a much more narrow pathway. If you're Bryson DeChambeau, you have a huge pathway to get to the top of the leaderboard because you're going to be out there further than everybody. You're probably going to be able to find your ball without much trouble. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. There are literally going to be names of guys that don't fit the model at the top of the board. It's going to happen every single week. Now, to answer your question, I'm starting to, and actually, I think I have a question. I'm going to save that answer for later, Brian. So there's a question coming up, but no, it's certainly going to be a mixed bag. Hank Hill says, do you believe that certain golfers are better on Texas courses, or is that just a narrative? I know some people dominate or really struggle on Florida courses, so I'm curious if Texas is similar. So first off, anytime you get any course or region, there is going to be some built-in comfort level, right? Whether you grew up on those courses, grew up on those greens. Now, a couple things with Texas that is a little bit different than Florida. Texas is huge, right? It's a huge state. Not all of the regions play this. If you grew up in northern Texas, as opposed to someone who grew up on the southern border, that's different golf. It's just different. So there's certainly not going to be a blanket. And also there are a lot of golfers from Texas. So you hear this narrative a lot. You can dive into the numbers. I mean, I'm trying to think of, we don't have a ton of history, but like what's in Texas? So Valero, right? We've got Houston. We've got, so I'm just trying to click these off the top of my head. So I'm just giving you an example here. So what we could do is we could go through the Holy Grail. That's what I'm showing right now. All the tools that you see available on RickRunGood.com. I just threw in the Houston Open, Texas Open. What am I missing? I guess I'm missing this event. Byron Nelson, which I can't spell correctly. So let's do this. So this is the last 6 years of those events. Jason Day has 8 rounds. He's gaining over 3 strokes per round. DJ 2.6, Brooks 2.3. Where's my first Texas guy? I don't know. Do I see one? Where's Jimmy Walker from? Is he a Texas guy? So you can go into the Holy Grail. You can throw this up and see if there are any trends, but I believe generally that narrative is overrated. In terms of Euro players with missing data, I tried finding similar players to ask about. Would Kevin Na, who you are equating to John Catlin, or Hovland, who you are equating to Rosner, would be a good course fit. So Antoine Rosner, I think, would be thrilled to be compared to Victor Hovland, as would most guys. Victor Hovland is like a top 10 ball striker on the planet, maybe maybe better than that. So to answer that side of the question, good ball strikers play well everywhere. So I'm actually probably just going to go down to this next question because I think this is going to really help out with how I'm describing this. So Frankie asks, now that you're leaning more towards strokes gained approach and putting, how would you change your weight? So this is not necessarily 100% true. So early in the week on Monday, when I recorded on Monday, I was looking at the course and I was doing the whole flyover thing. And I'm like, it's going to be a bomber's paradise. Just bomb it out there. Go find it. Then you start thinking, well, if no one gets into trouble off the tee, then is there really an advantage for being long? Sure. But for being accurate off the tee, what's the advantage if everyone's going to be able to find their ball and the rough's not penal and there's no detriment to missing the fairway? So then I was thinking, okay, maybe this turns into an approach contest, right? Everybody's going to find their tee shot. Longer is better, but everybody else is going to find their tee shot. And now it turns into an approach game. Well, now that's a different kind of skill set. It's a different type of people. And then I think I'm not weighing strokes gained putting all that heavily, but I think the idea of that comes around that this is going to be a birdie fest, right? Without any wins, I don't see very much defense on this course. It is, I'm not going to take the time to go over the flyovers again, but I mean, it looks about as gettable as you can imagine. I think these guys are going to scorch it. So to answer your question, Frankie, the way that I would adjust this, the model is I would probably not weigh strokes gained off the tee as much. I would probably tick that down, tick up distance, because I think the guys who are the biggest beneficiaries are the guys that are super long but inaccurate. And normally they're in trouble off the tee, but this week I don't think they will be. Wyndham Clark is probably a really good example of this. I think he's one of the top 20 longest hitters on tour, maybe even top 10, and he's like 200th in accuracy. That might be good. So what I think I want is distance, approach, and a little bit of putting would probably be the way that I would adjust that. Let me go back here. Adolescent Yoda says, hey, Rick, what's been missing in James Hahn's game lately? Oof, probably everything. Let me clear this out and we'll go check on James Hahn. I've not considered what Hahn has been up to. So let's see. Well, I see a golfer that has lost strokes on approach in 2 straight. We don't have his Zurich Classic numbers, but he missed the cut there with his partner. Why don't we have his Honda Classic numbers? Did he withdraw before the Honda Classic? Because we do have numbers for that event. I don't know why they're not coming in. I might have to check with the PGA Tour on that. I just see a golfer that's struggling in terms of ball striking, which is unfortunate because when things go better, that's usually how he finds success. He's missed 4 cuts in a row. He's missed 6 of his last 9. I don't see many breadcrumbs there towards success, Adolescent Yoda. Tom wants to know, hey, Rick, do you have any intel on how Koepka's knee injury is progressing? No. I imagine that if he's playing this week, he's feeling good enough to play. I don't think that he would necessarily risk further injury just for a tune-up before the PGA Championship. I think if he was really hurting and he wanted to play the PGA Championship, he would just show up there like he did at the Masters, right? So I would believe that Koepka is healthy enough to play. And James Hahn withdrew during the first round of the Honda. That is why the numbers don't come in, which is good because I thought I had an issue with my database, but I do not. Any thoughts on Pat Perez? Well, we are out of the gate with a couple of questions of guys that I would not have even considered this week. So let's go look at Pat Perez. That's why we do this, right? We spend the time talking about guys that we have not talked about thus far. And here's Pat Perez. Back-to-back top 30 finishes, 21st with his partner at Zurich, 29th at the Valspar, 26th at the Wells Fargo. That's a bit surprising. Concerns for me would be the 6 strokes that he gained around the green at the Wells Fargo Championship. That is his single best around the green week that I have on file. That goes back to 2015 for Pat Perez. Also notably, his two best around the green weeks have both come at Quail Hollow at the Wells Fargo Championship, which I guess, maybe 19 was at Eagle Point, right? No, that was 2017. So Quail Hollow is certainly a place that he likes to get up and down. So that would be a concern for me that's going to come back down to earth, Milton. And then I look at the week before that where he finished 29th at the Valspar and he gained 4.9 strokes putting. And that is probably his 15th best event ever. So I would say, barring some type of ceiling week in his short game, Pat Perez is probably not going to get very far this week. Can we get a look at the scatter plot with the 4 quadrants? Come on, man. If you're going to make requests, Milton, you got to know the name. You got to know the name of this tool. It is called, is on the Trends tool, and it is called Breakout Candidates. And I'll pull that up for you right now. So if you've never seen this before, you should check this out. I should show this on the DFS preview. It is a very handy tool. So what we have here is 4 different quadrants. It looks at long-term versus short-term form in regards to ball striking and in regards to putting. And ideally, you want golfers that are hitting the ball significantly above their tee to green metric, their tee to green baseline, which would be, they're just striking it well. And then because that tends to stay week over week. And then guys that are putting it below their expectation. Well, wouldn't you know, Matt Fitzpatrick, who is breaking the mold here, would be like the top guy. I love Matthew Fitzpatrick. He's awesome. Jordan Spieth on the right side, Cam Champ, Keith Mitchell, Doug Gim, Nate Lashley, all on the right side. Guys on the wrong side, Harry Higgs, Aaron Baddeley, Rob Oppenheim, Sung Kang, Michael Kim, KJ Choi. They're on the wrong side of it. You want to be up here, upper left with green on green. That is what you want to see. Okay, next question. Is there a stat that exists that ranks course difficulty? Well, yes. I mean, for handicap purposes, for like real, it would be your slope rating or your course rating and your slope. So every course has this. You can look it up. The only issue, Cole, which is where I think you're headed, is you usually don't get a slope and a rating for the places that the PGA Tour plays from, right? Like if you went to, and Kia was probably a bad example because, or TPC Craig Ranch. Actually, TPC Craig Ranch is probably a really good example because the TPC network, they usually do list the tournament slope and rating on the scorecard and on the website and all that stuff. Now, the problem would be if you go to, let's just say Kiowa next week, right? Kiowa is a public course. You could go pay probably $500 and play the Ocean course. But where you play it from and where the rating and the slope are not going to be where the tour guys play it from. And you're not going to play it on greens nearly as fast and rough nearly as long. So it's not really an apples to apples comparison. So I guess if you're trying to compare course difficulty for PGA Tour courses, I mean, I guess you could look at the winning score, but that's not great either because you don't know about the weather or anything like that. So yes and no, I guess is kind of the answer there. This week has a feel of an alternate tourney during a major. No, John, Byron Nelson just got the best field it's ever gotten. This is not, no, you're crazy. It's going to be a good week. Rick, I'm desperate. Need to make up ground in one and done. Would you go with Scheffler or Fitzpatrick? If you have to make up ground, the only option is Fitzpatrick. Scotty Scheffler, not only clocking in to be one of the most popular DFS picks of the week, but also one of the most popular one and done picks of the week. I have him at 19% ownership. I actually have Matt Fitzpatrick a little bit more than that, but I think in a one and done, if you are making up ground, the answer is Fitzpatrick. I mean, it's different in DFS because their pricing is so different. Scheffler is going to be popular this week. If this course is a birdie fest, some people suggest, whoa, sorry, I misread that, Clinton. If this course is a birdie fest, like some people suggest, does that mean you should flex seal your lineup with Sebastian Munoz? Let's look. Munoz has been, I like the idea that you flex sealed this. So here's Munoz. We know he can get hot, right? I think he opened up the Northern Trust with like 8 or 9 birdies in a row. We know that he can get scorching. We haven't seen it as recently. Missed the cut at the Wells Fargo, missed the cut at the RBC Heritage, hasn't played particularly well outside of his top 10 at the Valero in quite some time. The end of 2020 was much better, and you can see the metrics. He was gaining on approach nearly every single week, not seeing anything close to that this week. So Clinton, while he does have that in him, the metrics do not shine a positive light on my homie, Seb Munoz, this week. If there is such a thing, who is the smartest fade for this week? Ooh, an opportunity to look silly, Brian. Thank you very much. This will be clipped over the course of the next week when things go horribly, horribly wrong. So I believe probably the smartest fade is Ryan Palmer. Now, I have Ryan Palmer projecting about 19% ownership at $9,100. He is what I believe to be the 5th highest owned golfer on the slate. Now, if you follow along, I love Ryan Palmer. I think he is great, and that is part of the fate of this. It's kind of what we did with Max Homa last week at the Wells Fargo Championship. I don't need to play Ryan Palmer at a place that everyone is playing Ryan Palmer, and that he has the course record, and that he's 9,100. If you go to the value matrix tool on RickRunGood.com, which is, where did I just open it up? Let me find this here. It is a free tool, by the way, so highly encourage you to check it out. Did I click the wrong thing? Oh, I opened up Jock Market twice. Here we go. Free tools, value matrix. So this is a tool that is absolutely free, and you can go to see Ryan Palmer and look at what he has done when he has been this expensive. And it's not often that he's over $9,000. So I'll change the date range to be the price range to be 9,000. He's only been $9,000 or more twice in the last 4 years. 9,200 at both the Sony Open and the Waste Management. He returned fine value, 8 and 9 times value, but I don't need to be on the full on, this is ceiling Ryan Palmer price. I don't need to be involved in that at 20% ownership. So I think he's probably the smartest fade. And he could have a good week, but I think that's the smartest fade. Real quick, while I mention Jock Market, again, they are the sponsor of the show. I think of them more of a partner here. This is Stock Market DFS. You are going to be able to bid on golfers tonight in the IPO phase until 9 p.m. Eastern time. You can bid on golfers. That's Wednesday night. Then when that phase is over tonight, you're allocated shares of golfers that fluctuate over the course of the event. So you can buy and sell. If you would have bought shares of Rory McIlroy after the first round last week, you would have been in really good shape, especially considering he had the full $25 payout last week. So he closed IPO at $9. You probably could have bought shares of him for much less than that on Thursday, and he went off and won the golf tournament for $25 a share. And I know what someone's thinking, but Rick, he was 20-1. Shouldn't I have just bet him outright? Sure. But what happens if you bet Abraham Answer outright, who finished second and got you no money in the outright market, but paid you a ton per share in the jock market? It's just different. You get paid on each position, not only one position. That means you can make money with golfers who finish 27th. Could you bet someone finish inside the top 27 at your favorite book? Maybe, but it's kind of different. So highly encourage you to join. The markets are getting much more liquid. I enjoy it a ton. There is a deposit bonus you can use. It's called Rick20. That will get you a $20 deposit bonus, and we're going to give away $100 in Jock Bucks tonight on the show. So certainly join us for that. Evan, welcome back, says, will last week actually keep ownership off Zalatoris, or have people collectively realize the miscut isn't an automatic bad sign? Yeah, the latter there. So I actually have Zalatoris projected to be the most owned golfer on this slate, 21%. Not only is he awesome and do people love him, we are starting to even the general public is starting to realize that miscuts don't matter. And also he gets the Texas narrative. So there is just a lot of things headed back in Zalatoris's favor. I believe him to be very popular for this week. Brant says, hey, Rick, are you a truck guy? And if so, which brand would you get for yourself? First of all, thank you for even thinking I might be a truck guy. I am probably not. I'm probably the furthest from a truck guy. I have no use for a truck. I have no desire to own a truck. I drive an electric car. Probably I couldn't even name you a truck. I'm not handy. I'm not a manly man. I like my comfort. I don't think I live that truck life. Sorry, Brad. I don't know. I hope you enjoy. It's a weird week for outright, says Tyler. There are so many names in that 50 to 80 range, but one that keeps sticking out is Westwood. I'm seeing 80-1 when he would have been a third of that 6 weeks ago. So I do certainly agree that the market fluctuated quickly or didn't adjust fast enough or whatever on Lee Westwood when he was going, he went runner-up 2 weeks in a row. I'm not sure this is the best spot for him, but I do agree with you about a couple of things. The number on Westwood is probably a hair too long. He should probably be 50 or 60. And also he's not that far removed from a lot of success. And then finally, I had one other point about Lee Westwood. I don't remember. Sorry. If I think of it, Tyler, I'll mention it. Hey, Rick, tough this week with no course history. Thoughts on deep dives for McCumber and Schwartzel? McCumber just withdrew, so no need for that, and you certainly should not play him. And there is another question right below about Charles is how he pronounces it, Schwartzel, which is hard to say, laying the blueprint. So we can deep dive on Schwartzel here because that'll knock out two questions at the same time. Here we go. Schwartzel. All right. A lot of good stuff from Schwartzel. And this does not even include his runner-up finish at the Zurich Classic with Louis, where they went to a playoff, right? So gaining strokes on approach in 3 in a row and 4 of 5. Great sign, because that's not something that he has done since essentially a year ago. Last summer, the summer of 2020 was the last time he gained strokes on approach in that many events in a row. Still very much worried about this category, the putting category, where he has lost strokes in essentially 7 of his last 8 of his last 9, something like that. The good news is for you Schwartzel backers is if there was one category that I would prefer to look like this, it's putting. It's this one. The approach stuff and the off the tee keeps me very optimistic. So yes, certainly bullish on Schwartzel. Let's call it like a 7 out of 10, something like that. Biggie Balls wants to know, TPC Craig Ranch, who is Craig? I don't know, but he's got his own. Does he have his own ranch? Craig Ranch? Is this place on a ranch? It probably is. It's in Texas. I really don't know. Part of the TPC network. What do I know about the TPC network? There's a lot of them. Sawgrass, Scottsdale, Summerlin, ones that we don't even know about. Denzante Bay, I think, is in Mexico. They have spots for tour pros who they have parking spots dedicated to them. They have spots on the range dedicated to them. It's a real good gig if you're a tour pro and you get to be a member of these courses. Can you take a look at Josh Teeter, asks Ryan Fitzgerald. Sure, Ryan Fitzgerald. Josh Teeter, if off the top of my head, he has not played a lot and he has split time on the Corn Ferry. So I don't know how much data I'm going to have on him here. Yeah, like very, very little. So going back to the start of 2021, he's only played 5 PGA Tour events, made the cut in all of them. I'll give him that. But the last 3 we don't have data on: Puerto Rico Open, Punta Cana, and then the Zurich. Now he's played on the Corn Ferry as well, and he's played better there. I would argue he has been solid. What I mean by that is when I was doing a deeper dive into the field earlier, he was basically a 0, like an average PGA Tour pro, if you started looking at the metrics. And being an average PGA Tour pro for $6,600 is really valuable. So I don't know what his upside is, Ryan. It's probably pretty capped, but if you're looking for someone to hopefully make the cut, if you are looking for someone to, maybe get you a T26, that would be, I think, the outcome for Josh Teeter that would be most desirable and most reasonable. How important is strokes gained approach model weights regarding good and bad weather? So strokes gained approach is almost always the most important stat. Doesn't matter where, doesn't matter when, doesn't matter the weather, doesn't matter anything. Strokes gained approach is almost always the most important metric. There is something interesting about good and bad weather. So, but not in regards to strokes gained approach. Sorry. It was wet there yesterday on Tuesday. I think they got a bunch of rain. They canceled some type of event. It looks dry, more dry on Wednesday. I don't think they got rain, but it was cloudy, so it probably didn't dry all that well. If you look at the forecast for the rest of the week, Thursday and Friday looking pretty good in terms of weather, and then Saturday afternoonish. Now, I guess Saturday evening into Sunday starts to get a bit wet. Now, the PGA Tour loves to do preferred lies. I don't think we'll see it on Thursday, but there's a chance we get it at some point in this week, which in that case, if they ever go to preferred lies, accuracy off the tee will be more important, because if you're in the fairway, you can pick up your ball, you can clean it off, and you can place it. So obviously it's going to be hard to tell, but maybe for showdown stuff, maybe for jock market, maybe for making bets later in the week, that is something to keep an eye on, because if these guys get preferred lies, it's going to change the game. What up, Rick? Says Civic Boy. Thoughts on Chris Baker, the birdie maker, for DFS at min price? He actually came up on I believe it was the First Cut podcast that I host. We had obviously Greg and C on, who joined me every single Monday to break this down. And Chris Baker actually was part of the discussion. So let's pull him up. So here's Baker. Again, not many events since the start of 2021. I have him for 7. And of course, the last 3 I don't have data on. And he missed the cut in like 5 of them. The good news is he's a pretty good ball striker. A lot of off the tee stuff, a lot of approach. The putter's terrible. Now, we don't know what he did at Punta Cana, Puerto Rico, and we don't know what he did at the Zurich, but he did make the cut. I would say this: you could do much worse than him in the 6K range. And in fact, I haven't even really showed you the cheat sheet yet, which actually, a little spoiler alert, there's a little hidden button right here. Oh, you see that little hover? Watch this. Boom. Takes you to the cheat sheet that I use for the first cut. It's much bigger. It's easier to read when I do video. So if you go down to the 6K range, here's Chris Baker, and I would prefer him over all of these other guys. Now, I'm not sure that's saying much. They're all min priced for a reason, but I think you could do much worse. The problem with that is there's no way to get out of that tab without going back. So little secret you guys just learned. Thanks for being on. Is Harry Higgs the secret Dallas guy no one has mentioned? He went to SMU, right? He did that. I mean, there's so many Dallas or so many Texas guys in the field. It's likely we're going to get Texas guys in the top 10, but it's like just because there's so many of them and a lot of them are good at golf and like some of the favorites are from Texas. So I'm not buying that too much. Hey, Rick, any thoughts on playing Kang? I know he's the defending champion, but that doesn't hold any weight considering oh, sorry. I was going a different direction here. Considering how he's been playing, but he is a member here and has course knowledge. Yes, he also did not win here. That is also an important note because it's the first time that Craig Ranch is being played on the PGA Tour. No, I think you're right that it's pretty ugly for Kang. Now, the other thing is I'm not as bullish on guys who are members places. I mean, look, like, okay, so here's the issues with Sung Kang. He has lost strokes off the tee basically every event for a year. He has lost strokes on approach for most of the events in the last year. He has lost strokes around the green in most of the events for the last year. He has lost strokes total almost every event. It's just, I don't think that it doesn't matter how you're hitting it. If you show up anywhere, whether you know it or not, hitting it like this, you're in big trouble. That's my take. I also think that a lot of these guys that are members at places, and someone told us this about Colonial. It wasn't Palmer. It was somebody, but they were like, listen, I play this course all the time with no grandstands, no fans, different conditions. When I show up tournament week, it looks completely different to me. That could be a detriment at times. So I don't necessarily buy that narrative, and the form that Sung Kang is showing, there is zero indication he will play well this week. If he does, more power to him. There is zero indication that's going to happen. Jay-Z wants to know, actually, let me say, Jay-Z, it says, Jay-Z be thinking about Will Z. A couple of Z's thinking about each other. Feels like this could be a great bounce back opportunity. You feeling the Will wave? Thank you, Jay-Z. Thank you for stopping by. Appreciate the support. Love your work. I'm always going to feel the Will wave. I'm a huge advocate for the kid. It doesn't matter what course he plays. It doesn't matter. It's just, he's unbelievable. He is really doing incredible stuff right now. Just a matter of time before he wins. Will Z or Scotty S? Probably still has to be Scotty S, right? I mean, listen, neither of them have won on the PGA Tour. Scotty's a bit more seasoned. If you start looking at what these guys have done recently, Scotty's been phenomenal. I can show you. Let's pull up the key stats. If you scroll down on the key stats, you can sort by any number of rounds that you want. And you start looking at what Scotty Scheffler has done in his last 24. He's gaining in every single strokes gain category. He's like 6th in this field in strokes gain total. He is making almost more birdies than anybody. He's driving it far. He's just doing everything. So as much as I love Willie Z, the way Scotty S is playing is unbelievable. And I meant to show you this on the screen. This is it. So I'll leave that up while you can look at that. Brandon Stone wants to know who wins this week. Well, if I knew that for sure, I guess I would have bet it and then told you, but I wouldn't tell you before I bet it. I think, so I go on CBS Sports and I do a lot of like, pick to win stuff. I think Scotty Scheffler's probably the best convergence of value, odds, and skill set for a lot of the reasons that I just mentioned. I also think that like Bryson might just destroy this course. And I also think that there's not enough talk about Spieth, right? Because if you're talking about, like, remember when I said at the top of the show, inaccurate drivers who are great with their irons is potentially the path to victory here. That's Spieth. Like, that is literally him. So I don't know. I don't know who's going to win. I wish I did. Who are the regression candidates looking like this week? I need to know if Doug Gim is primed to make at least a single putt at minimum. Probably not. I mean, he's such a bad putter. We can go back to that trends tool. We can go to the breakout candidates and we can look for, so like I guess bad regression would be these guys up here who are hitting it well, but putting over expectation. Leishman, unfortunately, who I'm actually a pretty big fan of this week. Sam Burns, unfortunately. John Rahm's on the wrong side of it. Kuchar, Villegas, Hideki, they're on the wrong side of this. Regression likely coming for them, which is a bit of a concern. Bernie says, hi, Bernie. First of all, Bernie drops in with a super chat. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. How does your model shake out if we shift weight from off the tee to driving distance? Also, would you consider going 100% weight on strokes gained wind? And you put a bunch of laughing emojis. So I'm assuming you know that I would not do that. So, all right, Bernie, here we go. So let's do a quick model. I'm going to try to go more recent, and I'm going to try to go with 24 rounds. Now, if we shift from off the tee to driving distance, so let's do the different type of model that I did on Monday. So let's do this. Let's say driving distance is important. Let's call it 35. Then let's say everybody's going to be able to find their ball. Now it turns into an approach contest. Let's go 30 there. And then let's say you got to make a lot of birdies. So I'm going to put only 10 on putting, and I'm going to ramp up the birdie or better to 25. Let's look at this. That gives us, oh boy, Brooks Koepka, number one. Brooksy, number one, by a pretty big gap, 95. 92 is Scotty Scheffler, Sam Burns, Jordan Spieth, Daniel Berger. I'll tell you what, guys, the longer we go in the week, this feels like the model. I just really think this might be the model. If everybody can find their ball, right? Like it's like if the playing field gets leveled for people who are accurate off the tee and it's no longer that important, shouldn't we look at a different skill set to find the difference makers? This is starting to feel a lot like the model. So there you go, Bernie. Thank you very much for the super chat. I really do appreciate it. Let me find my spots again. Oh boy. I found my spot. Okay, I'm getting closer. Who wins this week? Who are the regression candidates? Okay, looking for a low-owned one and done. Fitzpatrick, Sergio, Will Z, Scheffler, Berger need to make up some ground. Not Scheffler. He'll be very popular. Fitzpatrick might be popular as well. Sergio would probably be low-owned, but I don't think he's your low-owned / best option here. Berger, right? We just ran a model that showed Berger and has winning upside, and a lot of people probably already used him. I feel like a sax solo at the start of the Rick Run Good opening music would be awesome. From me or just like in general? I am open to, so I also got an email that was like, hey, like I could, help you redo your music or whatever. It's like not something I put too much thought into. If someone wants to redo it or like send me some samples or whatever, my email's open. Who are the highest projected owned golfers? So we'll go back to the cheat sheet here on RickRunGood.com. I just updated this about, 3 hours ago. I have Zalatoris, Fitzpatrick, Berger, Spieth, and Palmer and Scheffler, all the six guys over 19%. Those are them. Fowler orange shirt today, going heavy on him. No, Mark, I am not. I'm just wearing my orange because I played golf this morning. 18 holes, 90 minutes. That is how golf should be played. Spieth or Bryson is top guy in a DFS lineup. Well, I suppose Spieth offers you a bit of reprieve in terms of salary, right? He's going to be $500 cheaper. And if we believe this, so I think these are the two buckets, right? If we believe it's a bomber's paradise and nothing else matters, it's Bryson's game. If we think it's Spieth, or if we think it's the second bucket, it's Spieth. Let me also throw this out at you guys, because I don't think I mentioned this on Monday, because I didn't really discover it until later. Just think about all the things that Bryson went through last week. He lost 5 strokes on approach, one of his worst approach weeks ever. He played the par fives at even par, which the last time he did that, 111 starts ago, he usually dominates the par fives. Playing him even par is terrible. He made a triple bogey on the easiest hole on the course on Friday. And he also flew home because he thought he missed the cut and had to fly back Saturday morning, play his third round on almost no sleep, and darn near shot the round of the day. All of that terrible stuff going on, he finished ninth. Is that his floor? Is that his new floor? Like, it's really crazy what he's able to do. But I think we're just in a 2-bucket conversation to answer your question there. Is Peters capable of going low enough to win an event like this? Interesting. I mean, a lot of those European Tour events turn into shootouts. You know, the one that was last week was like 27 under par. So I would say, yeah, I think he's capable of it. How easy do you think the course will be, and what do you think the cut line will be? Well, I think the most recent cut line that was super low was Shriners. That was like 6 under, I think, which 7 under maybe, which is absolutely bonkers. I think it's going to be easy. I think that the cut will be, I'm so bad at this, 3 under. I don't know. I think it's going to be easy. I think 21 or 22 under par wins this thing. Which Vegas area course do you like better, Rio Seca or Cascada? I haven't played either of those, but now I've got 2 more suggestions, so I will go check those out. Thank you very much, Colin. Shirt color coordinated with the lights. This ain't no hobby, Travis. Come on. Best chance to win the Byron Nelson, Sergio or Cam Champ? Probably Sergio. I get the Champ Bomber stuff. He hasn't been all that good. Otherwise, I'm not a huge believer in his game. Sergio's won this twice, usually much better from tee to green, even if he hasn't played well recently. I don't think either of them are going to win, but I think maybe Sergio as opposed to Bryson. Ethan says, Rick Run Goat. Ooh, I like that. Baby, what's up? How we doing, brother? What are the chances Bryson whips out the Kraken this week without a lot of danger off the tee, hitting at 200-mile-an-hour ball speed? Yeah, completely agree. There's an outcome where Bryson wins this by 5 shots, right? The outcome is he's awesome off the tee like he normally is, and he doesn't get into any trouble. He gains any number of strokes on approach, which is, again, he is the guy who has lost more strokes on approach and still finished inside the top 10 than anyone in my database. So if he gains anything close to 0 or more, this thing might be over. It might be over. The math is really in Bryson's favor, I got to admit. Scheffler was right below Bryson in your projections, which surprised you. Is he a guy you're targeting this week because of that? For sure. There are, a lot of similarities between the metrics of Bryson and Scotty Scheffler. It is not, not distance and not off the tee, but they're making a ton of birdies. Scheffler's hitting it further than you would probably think. I've answered a couple of these already, so I'm going to keep going. Lots of questions about Zalatoris. I am not scared at all about Zalatoris. He has missed 1 cut like that I can remember, and he's got more top 10s than I can count, and they're all at different courses, and the kid's a stud, and it's wide open. There's a million questions about Zalatoris. He's awesome. Did the qualifiers play on TPC Craig Ranch on Monday or somewhere else? They play somewhere else. I don't think the Monday qualifiers are ever at the same course. They're always somewhere else. Ricky 2 times, says Adam Goldberg, creator of the Goldbergs. How did you shoot this morning? Do you keep stats on your personal rounds? I do. I keep fairways, greens in regulation, and number of putts, and I put them into my handicap. I had to skip a hole this morning because I went off at 6:25 a.m. in an attempt to play as quickly as possible, and I played in 90 minutes, and I had to skip. Well, it wasn't 1 hole. On number 10, I teed off, and there was like 9 maintenance guys on the green, and they did not see me, and they did not really care about seeing me, and I was like, I'm not even going to bother these guys. I can see the whole rest of the course is wide open, so I skipped ahead. So I didn't keep score because I did that, but I hit it really well. Oh my God. I probably parred the first 5 holes. I hit it. I struck it pretty well. If I had to guess, like I don't know, 81, something like that. Hey Rick, any love for Brandt Snedeker this week? Not particularly. I'm looking at putting. What time frame should I look at? Last 3 months or 6 months or more? I guess it depends, right? Excuse me. Putting is an incredibly volatile stat. So if you're looking for just like historically good putters, I like to kind of look for guys that can pop. I'm trying to think of who that would be. I showed one on the first cut. Gosh, I wish I knew who it was. Was it Wyndham Clark? Let me see if I can find this real quick. Might have been Wyndham. Yeah. Okay. So this is what I like. So Wyndham Clark has the ability to make a lot of putts, right? He can lose 6 strokes putting. He can lose 3. He can lose 8, but he can also gain 4. He can also gain 5. There are some guys who are just constant losers. I prefer my putters to come with this built-in volatility. Matthew says, everyone should hit the like button for this great, consistent content. That is like I planted that question or that comment. I did not. Matthew, thank you very much. Timmy wants to know, has Rahm been more inconsistent since he changed clubs? Well, we have the ability to see that because he changed clubs at the new year, right? That would have been when he switched to Callaway. I'm sure it was at the end of the year and he switched. So let's see. Looks pretty good to me. Looks pretty similar to me. No, I mean, he has gained strokes ball striking every event since August. And about half of them would have been with his old sticks and half of them would have been with his new sticks. No, looks good to me. The putter's gotten worse, right? Putter's gotten a little bit worse. Maybe that new, he's using that. I think he's using that 2-ball now, that white hot. How much are you weighing course history this week? Scheffler and Zalatoris looking like they have the most. 0%. If they saw it on the Corn Ferry, or if they saw it as a member of the public, or they played it, like, it's going to be different. I don't care. They were like 12 years old. Some like Scheffler's like, oh, I played this when I was 12 years old. I don't care. Doesn't matter. I'm more worried about just what they do in the practice rounds this week. Hey, Rick, hope you're having a great week after that Rory pick. I am. Thank you. That was fun. My model kept giving me Seamus power. That scares me. Thoughts. I actually had Seamus in my core last week, so I certainly cannot fault you for that. He's playing well on both tours. He made the cut. He was a little weak on the weekend, although I think he shot under par at Quail Hollow on Sunday. I think he's playing well across both tours. I do not mind that one bit. Hey, Rick, thanks for doing this. Someone you haven't probably been asked about lately, Martin Laird. Whew. That is true. Let's look at it. Have not considered Laird even after that win at the Shriners. So let's look at this. So Laird has missed his last 2 cuts. Zurich, that was a team event. Valspar lost 2 strokes putting. The putter's been pretty horrible, actually. The putter's been bad. The approach game, this is weird. He was great at the Masters. Outside of that, since his win, he's been poor. I mean, he's just been bad. But that's kind of what he's been. I mean, his week where he won at the Shriners was like, everything coming together for him. He was awesome on approach. He gained in every single category. Remember, he had a plugged lie like on, 13 or 14 or whatever on Sunday. He was staring double in the face. He chipped out and made birdie. I mean, everything went his way. I have little desire in investing my money in Martin Laird. James Hahn finished second here in 2012. Again, I don't particularly care about that. Russell Henley was 6th, Luke List 13th. 9 years ago, I don't particularly care. Smash the like button. Last week, I can't read that. Last week, Wise proved his validity for being chalk. What are thoughts on Wise this week? He's grading out 12th in my model. Well, I guess this would give him, does this give him 3 good weeks in a row? Let's take a peek. Oh, no. Sorry. I might have been thinking about somebody else. So he hasn't played much, right? Honda Classic was 4 starts to go 13th, Valero 44th, and then 9th at the Wells Fargo. He's been great off the tee. That's good. That's good news. He's been pretty good with the approach games and look at the putter. I mean, this is what he's going to have to do, right? This is the Keegan Bradley model. Putt to almost a 0 and finish inside the top 10 of someone who likes team no putt. Aaron Wise would certainly fit on that category. If there was a course for Ricky to get back on track, wouldn't this be one? No. I mean, when Ricky's back on track, there's not going to be a bad course for him, right? That's kind of what it's been like. He has too much going wrong. One week it's the driver, the next week it's the putter, the week after that it's the irons, it's the short game. It's just, I don't think it's a course that's going to get Ricky right. I think it is time and practice and repetitions that is going to get Ricky right. If I'm in 20th, mama, out of 3,500 in my one and done, what strategy would you suggest moving forward? Chalk it up. Chalk it up. Look at the top 3, 4 favorites every single week. Pick one of them, and ideally pick the one that the people above you have already used. But you should probably not be going that far off the board, and understand that, if you pick the third or fourth favorite, the margin difference between how often that person is going to win the golf tournament and the actual favorite is probably very small. So you should just be looking at the top 4 or 5 guys and picking the one that the people above you cannot. Are there any plans to have a lock player button option on the new lineup builder? There are a lot of plans for this. Remember, this is still very much in beta. It says it right here. This is a tool that is still in proof of concept phase. So there are certainly a ton of things that I have in mind. A lock button, adding a lot more metrics. I mean, there's just a million things. So yes, there's the goal. If you guys are members of my site, I go through constant improvements. The site, the tools are always being updated because the way that I build tools gives me a bit of flexibility. So there's always new things being added. If you had to bet $100 on one golfer this week, who would you choose? Well, I guess it depends on how risky I want. Like if you're giving me $100 to bet, I would probably take, I don't know, Scotty Scheffler or Brooks Koepka and try to get a really good number on that. If you said, give me the guy who's most likely to win, it's probably Bryson. He showed us his floor last week. Why do I feel like Mitchell is going to bomb this course? I don't know if that means good or bad. I think he's going to be fine. Mitchell's been playing great. He is off the tee maverick. If you throw out the fact that he played a round with a bent putter, the putter's hasn't been as bad, right? So like let's do it. I'm cool with Mitchell this week. I think he's very well priced. I like Leishman of necessity, but I like him if we go with the second bucket, inaccurate drivers, and then lean on approach. And Leishman wins, more than a lot of other guys. He won with Cam Smith just a couple of weeks ago. He won the Farmers last year in a fashion that probably should not have allowed him to win. So, I do not mind Leishman at all this week. Palmer a fade. He's from Texas and probably used to the bent grass. I'm telling you, Palmer's going to be popular. Going to be very popular. Let's see. I've answered a lot of these, which is good. Any interest in a sprinkle of Hammer? No. Cole Hammer. Love the kid, but not that interested. I mean, the tour is so deep. It's just too deep. How low in the pricing are you going? Interesting question. All right, let's look at that. So here we go. Cheat sheet, scroll on down. I would feel comfortable. Where's Teeter? 66-ish? I'd feel okay with Teeter. I wouldn't feel that comfortable at 66, but I'd be like, if I love the rest of my lineup or something like that. Outside of that, man, that might be it. I don't really love any of these other guys. MJ Duffy, who just Monday qualifies constantly. That's an impressive feat. He's 64. 66 is probably where I feel comfortable, which is pretty high considering most of the time we go less than that. Any concerns at Spieth's first event since having COVID? Listen, I'm certainly not going to try to speculate how the virus impacts people differently. What I know is we've had some guys come back and not play well. We've had some guys come back and play fine. We've had some guys say, I was a lot more tired after walking 18 or 36 or 72 holes or whatever it is. And you got to assume it cut into some of his practice time. I'm taking all of that into consideration, but Spieth, man, he's like the best player on tour right now. How much stock do you put in Sung Kang playing in his home course? 0. Rick is avoiding the most important question. Who are the best wind options? I am pretty sure you are trolling me, Birdie, because you know that I do not like these wind players. Or I do not like trying to figure out the wind. Hit the like button. How many holes did you finish this morning? 18? 17 and a half, because I did not hit my approach into 10. But I was in the fairway. I will say that. Wes Bryant or Vegas? Oof. I guess Johnny Vegas. Vegas at least has an elite skill set, the driver, right? At least he has an elite skill set. 11 minutes to go here, 10 minutes to go here. I'll try to get through. Actually, I'll probably be able to get through all these. How much exposure do you have to Catlin, Uline, and Whaley? I hand build and I keep landing on them as flyers. Yeah, that's fine. Uline, I'm pretty bullish on, right? I'm a big believer between the Korn Ferry Tour and the PGA Tour. He's played well. Whaley, while he's been an absolute cut maker, and if you're just looking for a cut, maybe that's the guy. I don't know. His upside's probably not that good, right? Like I think his chances of being inside the top 25 are not great, but he's been making a ton of cuts. Catlin is really the unknown, right? Arguably the upside's been huge. I actually went through this on, well, hold on. Let me make sure I'm going to say this right, because I'm not sure I have this right. I don't. I was thinking of somebody else. But I think Catlin winning 4 times. Now they're all on the Euro Tour or these worldwide tours. It's important, but understanding that they are a different class of golfer. Wanted to get your opinion on Harris English. Medium. Like I really hated the way he played after the Tournament of Champions after he finally got a win. It seems like we are starting to turn the ship around on Harris English, but I'm still concerned that he's not nearly what he was doing in 2020. So like 5.5 out of 10, a little tiny bit bullish. Will Gordon and Nate Lashley, probably Gordon. Gordon's pretty long off the tee. I think that helps here. How many majors do you think Spieth will win at the end of his career? Wow, he's still pretty young. So he's at what, 4? Man, can I give him 6? I mean, like that, it sounds like so many, but so few at the same time. He only gets 2 more, but he's going to play what, 40 more of them? Is he going to win 2 of them? He might play more than 40, actually. Every one for 10 years. He might play more than that. He might play 50 more, 60 more. But golf's so deep. There's so many golfers. I'll give him 2 more. 18 and 90 minutes. That's right. Oh, okay. Is this speed golf? I ran Redstone in 64 minutes, shot in 86. So that would be considered speed golf, right? Like you're literally running. I did not do that. I had a cart and I was the first person out, the only person out, played as a solo at 6:25 a.m. and I got 18 in 90 minutes. Hey, Rick, I'm front running my one and done and have used pretty much all the high end picks. Who would you rather pick? Ooh. If you're front running, you have to take Scheffler. I think that's pretty clear. Brooksy would be more risky. If you were trying to make up ground, I'd like that. If you are front running, you should probably just take Scheffler. Good evening, boys, says Damien. Where are you that it's evening? It's noon here, or almost 1 o'clock here. Let's see. Any thoughts on Noren, Kuchar, and Howe? Not particularly, John. Favorite golfer, $6,900 or below. Let's look. I thought there was somebody at 69 I liked. KH Lee, not the worst option. Will Gordon, mentioned him earlier. If I could handpick a course for Will Gordon, it'd probably be this one. And then Teeter, a hair more solid than that. Thoughts on Whaley and Straka for 7K plays? Yeah, so Whaley, I've been talking about for the last couple of weeks. I think he's fine. Straka, I looked up Straka for something earlier this week. Let's go find him. What was I doing? What was I doing when I was looking at him? Let's see what he's been up to. Off the tee, so 54th the Wells Fargo. He's made the cut in 6 in a row. That's a good sign. I hate this. I hate the way he strikes the ball. His approach game is pretty lame. Off the tee is pretty good. I just wonder if we think that off the tee benefit is going to be kind of leveled out this week, I worry about Straka. Why fade Cam Champ? Shouldn't it be the case to all big hitters? Why not just build the model, focus on around the green instead of off the tee? The argument would be if you are tapping into your around the green game on a week where 21 or 22 under might win, you're in trouble. The case for fading Cam Champ is he doesn't do anything else well. I mean, he is a bomber off the tee and he gains strokes there. But if we think that levels the playing field, then what does he rely on? His approach game is terrible. His around the green game is terrible. And his putter is one of the worst on tour. So I don't see, unless he fixes all those holes, how this gets him to the top. Hey, Rick, for DFS, Bryson or Scotty, if those are your options, you probably just have to go with Bryson. He's probably going to be good, lower owned. He's a better player. I love Scotty Scheffler, but he is not in the class of player that Bryson is. Bryson's won twice this year. Scotty's never won. I mean, if those are your options, you have to go with Bryson. I do enjoy, so I do like the Brooks Koepka pivot a little bit. So I have Koepka at 12%. So Berger around him is 19. Will Zalatoris is 20. Those guys are not twice as likely to win this golf tournament than Brooks is. Part of me wants just a Brooks 22-1 ticket and not worry about the DFS stuff, kind of like the Rory McIlroy stuff last week, which of course would have turned out to be, I mean, when you win, it would have been good for DFS or for betting. So I kind of like that side of it, but I'm a bit more bullish on Brooks as a DFS option because of the way this ownership and the pricing is shaking out. Having a $9,900 Brooks Koepka maybe as your first guy in your lineup is a really strong stud at the top that you might be able to then build a very strong team around. That's kind of my thought around it. Favorite golf course in PA, man, that I've played. Well, I mean, Marion's awesome, obviously. I had a chance to play not the East course, the West course years ago. It's obviously phenomenal. So that's always going to be up there. That's one of my favorite courses everywhere. I've answered a lot of these, which is good. Always a lot of Zalatoris conversation. Always a lot of Brooks conversation. Always a lot of Doug Ghim conversation. Let's see. This may be stupid. I always love when questions start like that. I like Spieth, Zalatoris, and the Chef. I assume that's Scotty Scheffler, but they're in the same group. Do you get wary of all three playing from the same groupings? No. I guess there's an argument to be made that some guys, momentum wise, if things are going south for two of them, it brings down the other. But if things are going great, they all go great. There's probably anecdotal evidence on both sides of that. So no, I do not care at all that they were playing in the same group. Thanks for all you do, Rick. Hit the like button. Thank you. Peters, I think is fine. I'm like a 6 out of 10 on him. I think he can make enough. I think he can make enough birdies. I think the skill set is there. He's got to really harness it in. Chris Baker at the min price. Yeah, we talked about that. Of the 6K guys, I guess he'd be better, but it's of the 6K guys, right? It's not saying all that much. Been making a killing betting against Ricky in matchups. Yeah, probably true. This week it's Charles, minus 134 in Kazire. Names are starting to scare me. Yeah, they're getting much worse, but hey, Ricky is not in a good spot right now. My wife picked CT Pan, which I swear she literally just picks random names. I have no idea how she finds these names. I have no idea. Any love for Siwoo? A lot more love for Siwoo this week than most. We have like a minute or two left. Let me just pull this up real quick. So I'm not usually a huge Siwoo guy, but all things considered, I think this field's pretty top heavy and it drops off. And once you start getting into the second and third tiers, I think Siwoo's a pretty viable option. 5 straight where he's gained strokes on approach. 2 of them he's gained 8 or more. That is hard to find anywhere on the PGA Tour. And he's done it twice in his last 5. He's piled up some good results in that stretch as well. He's never going to be a safe option. I think that's very clear, but I'm starting to certainly grow more on Siwoo than most other weeks. There we go. Right on time. Just making sure I didn't miss anything. I don't think we did. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to wrap it. Hit the like button for me on your way out. There's another live chat tonight at 8:15 p.m. Eastern time. It's for the Jock Market Power Hour. If you want to talk about players there, we do it. If you want to talk about the stock market or the Jock Market, we talk about it. Whatever you want, same spot, 8:15 p.m. Eastern time tonight. Thank you very much. Enjoy the Byron Nelson. Don't call it a tune-up. You can call it a tune-up before the PGA Championship because it's going to be a fun week. Next week's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. I have to find my end screen. Goodbye.